Welcome to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called Go to Places. A few years ago, I was working as an assistant stage manager at a theater. We had a company meeting before running one of our tech rehearsals, so the whole ensemble as well as designers and other technicians were there. At the end of the company meeting, our director dismissed the designers and asked the ensemble and technicians to go to places and then we'll start the show. So I went to my post. I was stationed in an area backstage where I could not see the exact curtains/doors where the ensemble would enter, so I couldn't exactly tell if there was anyone in place. I trusted though that the ensemble would be at their places, as the director himself told them to do so. The pre-show music began, and then it faded along with the lights, meaning the tech rehearsal was about to begin. The lights came up and nobody came on stage. Over my headset, the stage manager was asking me what was wrong. I told him I didn't know. The director eventually called hold, and I came on stage to see what happened. I, of course, told him I had no idea, so I went backstage to see what was wrong. None of the ensemble was at their places backstage, so I went to the green room. They were all sitting there. They weren't busy getting ready, as they were already in costume and makeup during the company meeting. I asked them what was wrong, and they said, "Oh, you never told us to go to places." But the director told them himself. I thought to myself, well, yeah, I didn't tell you, but the director himself looked at everyone to tell them to go to places. Regardless, I went out to the director to tell him what went wrong. He just said, "Okay, just go back and tell them to go to places yourself. Remember that they will listen to you first when it comes to running the show." Alright, easy enough. I start to go back to the green room to tell the actors to go to places for the start of the start of the run. And the props master comes up to me. She had always been a bit stern, and she was very annoyed that I had messed this up. She began to lecture me about how this was my job, that I was the one who should notify actors, regardless of the director or other technicians. For context, this was my first time working at this theater, and she was around 30 years older than me. Also, as the prop master, she had no authority over me. If anything, I was above her. Regardless, she still felt the need to lecture me. She was lecturing me about this for about 5 minutes. I eventually heard over my headset the director and stage manager asking me if we were ready, and that I was taking too long. So in the middle of the prop master lecturing me, I just walked away from her. I ran to the green room and told the ensemble to go to places. As I walked by the prop master on the way to my post, she looked at me, confused as to how I would just walk away from her. I told her, "Oh, I was just doing my job. I have to get them to places, right?" She didn't talk to me much after that. The next story is called Clueless Manager. I worked at a New York car rental company at a major international airport in the Midwest. I worked in the car return lane. The majority of my time was spent checking in customers and making sure they hadn't messed up the cars. We'd make sure the keys were in the cars and then write some info on the windows for the cleaners who were constantly taking cars. I came back from a weekend and found the regional manager had rolled in. He was a nice guy, but was all about saving money and had no clue what was going on. He fired 2 of the actual managers for dubious reasons and so would fly in every other week to help run the place. Either the cleaners had lost one too many keys, which happens because the company has a fleet of over 600 cars, or one of the other branches did things differently. Anyway, he had decided that to prevent the loss of keys and, supposedly, theft, we, the return agents, were to have the keys on us at all times. Everyone at the branch immediately opposed this idea. We return agents did a lot of tasks besides checking in customers. Helped with luggage, moved cars, did quality checks, update the computer system, etc. When my coworker told me this, I was miffed and was like, "That's stupid, I'm not doing that." He shrugged his shoulders, maliciously but carelessly, and was like, "I know, just do it and watch what happens." I quickly picked up on the collective frustration of everyone and realized no one was complaining. Everyone had just decided to maliciously comply. It was a nightmare. The cleaners were constantly having to come to find us and describe what car they wanted, and we'd have to get the key off of a massive carabiner, taking needed time from us and the cleaners. I also made sure to be extra slow and inconvenienced at the thought of having to find a key for a cleaner. "Oh, do I have the key you guys have been looking for the past 5 minutes? I'm sorry, let me take a slow walk back to the return lane. Oh, that isn't the right key? Oops." The return lane quickly became an unorganized mess of cars and started overflowing out of the lot. Customers were extra stressed because they couldn't leave as the lot was jammed up. Shuttles couldn't come in to pick people up. The cleaners were yelling at us and running all over the place. But we just shrugged our shoulders at the cleaners and said this isn't our fault. Complained to management. A few customers observed the chaos and me and my coworker were like, "Oh yeah, this is kinda normal, you know." Chaos was normal at this place, but not like this. I think at one point that day someone radioed and was like, "Just leave the keys in the car for the rest of the day." But the next day we were again instructed to take the keys. And the regional manager acknowledged that change was hard, but this would be a new policy. So again, we complied. The cleaners hated their life and I'm sure they complained. Things were like this for a few more days. Then the regional manager left for the week. I came in the next day and I was not surprised to find that the keys were in the cars again. I checked with my coworker and he confirmed that we were back on the old efficient system. The manager in training had okayed it. When the regional manager came back the next week, he didn't mention anything about reverting back to our old efficient ways. The last story is called "No Need for a Promotion." This happened about 4 years ago now. I and my coworkers, 2 others, were delivery drivers for a large food service company. The lead driver at the time was let go, leaving just myself and my coworker. Naturally, about a week after he was let go, we started asking our managers when they would be opening up the lead driver position for applications. Their response was simple and as expected. "Not right now. We have a lot going on as we are moving into the busy season and we still need to clean out former employees' crap. Not a big deal. There was a lot of BS to clean up after the former lead was let go. He had been stealing from the company. Totals were missing. A truck was trashed. And he had been using the truck storage facility as his own personal storage unit. We had a lot to deal with. I had about 3 years on the job experience, and my coworker had almost 5 years in the role. As far as I was concerned, he should be the one getting the promotion. Longer tenure, wife and kids versus just me and my cat at the time. And the promotion was an additional $1.50 per hour. No brainer on my end. But he and I both had a feeling they'd want to put me in that position, since the big boss butted heads with him a long time ago, and they didn't see eye to eye. I tended to be a bit better with inter-office politics. Well, about 3 months after the lead was let go, things settled down, and we brought up the issue again. When will the lead position be posted? $1.50 an hour adds up fast, and on a flat 40-hour work week meant at least $132 per paycheck, and more depending on overtime. And we almost always had 10 to 20 hours of overtime a check. When asked again about the position, we were told the same. "We are working on it, just be patient. As soon as we can, we'll open it up and we'll make one of you the lead." Well, this irritated both of us, but irritated my coworker even more than me, because he felt like that position should have already been his. He'd been doing most of the lead position's part of the job already. I offered to reach out to management, put in my 2 cents and spur things along. He declined my help as he didn't want to butt heads with the big boss again and possibly risk his job. So we continued to raid. After 8 months, $4,224 of base additional pay with no overtime, neither of us was getting. My coworker was getting quite fed up. Typically, he only talked about something bothering him when he was really set off, and he had been talking about this almost every week for a month. So he called up the manager again and asked when they were going to open up the position for applications. The response: "You two been doing a great job down there. Everything's been handled, so we don't feel the need to create a new position." Oh yeah, this set us off big time. This was not creating a position. That lead position had been there for years before he was let go. I once again offered my assistance and opinions on how to speed things along and was declined again. That was until he called me 2 days later after stewing on it and told me to do what I want. So I did. The next morning, before unloading the trucks, we sat in the office, drank some coffee, and I told him what we were going to do. We were going to do nothing. We were going to field every single phone call, question, concern, and issue and pass it on to the big boss. He doesn't think we need a lead, so we will just be drivers. We passed every single phone call and issue off to him. For us, it wasn't a big deal, since we could just handle things then and there. A simple, go back and pick something up would take 2 minutes. Customer texts us directly, we do it. But we are just drivers. So we ignored the customer, responded back that we couldn't do that anymore and that they would need to call their sales rep. This made it a 15-minute task at the minimum, but was usually around an hour or two before we could go back to the customer. The fallout? We didn't even make it through the first morning before it hit the fan. As soon as the first issue popped up, our sales rep called me, asking why the customer said I couldn't do something. I told her the story, and she was angry. Not at us, at the big boss. I apologized and reassured her it was not personal. But if they won't pay my coworker to do the job, then we will just do what we are paid to do. My sales rep said she will get this taken care of, but she refuses to work with the big boss. She will quit before that happens. Serious threat from someone with 25 years on the job. A couple of hours later, my coworker and I got a call from the big boss. He apologized, told us he was wrong and that he would open up the position for us to apply, and asked that we go back to what we were doing. We told him no. Until that position is posted, the applicant was selected and one of our pay stubs shows the increase in pay, he can continue to handle the phone calls. But we thanked him for the apology. We carried on our merry way. The next day, the big boss called us. He told us the position was listed, asked us each to write up a letter of intent for why we felt like we deserved the position, and they would consider our letters and select one of us. Fantastic. Progress. My coworker pretty much wrote down on his letter that he'd been doing that work for 8 months. He has the seniority, contact information and knowledge, so he felt he should be considered. I submitted nothing, told my coworker he should have been promoted 8 months ago and sealed the envelope. I, of course, get a phone call the next day from the big boss, asking why I didn't submit my letter, and I told him just that. You should have promoted my coworker 8 months ago, and I don't want that position. Took a few days, but arms were twisted, and my coworker got his well-deserved promotion. The real push was the sales rep. We found out a couple of months after that she had called her vice president, told him this was bogus and refused to have to work with Big Boss since she couldn't stand him. Well, the vice president of sales got together with the vice president of operations and made the magic happen. The coworker thanked me for the help, bought me a couple of T-bones and said he never wants to get on my bad side. And with that, we end today's video. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories and today's video? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. And I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.